What is going on, everybody? And welcome back to the all new Nerds. And we are talking Mission Impossible today, which has just come out yesterday. Levi has the poster.
IMAX poster.
I guess people might have seen it as early as Monday.
Yep. But
I
today is
saw
the
it
official release.
Tuesday night.
As of recording this is the official day of
Wednesday,
release.
the official day of release. Kind of weird.
Very odd. Yeah, it doesn't actually make any sense. Tom Cruise is just like, let's do it.
And it makes the box office kind of tricky because when you talk like opening days, usually you expect it to be the weekend, but we're not really going to get
the full run.
It's full weird. Scope of it.
But we can cover that in the pod. Yeah, this is about the movie Dead Reckoning Part 1. I mean, I don't know about you, but I walked to that theater and that was awesome. I was so high on it. I'm more than everyone else I saw. I saw with a group of 10 and I liked it easily the most out of everyone. On some ranking apps, it's currently the highest rated. So I'm feeling like maybe I'm not crazy, but I don't know. I'm curious to see this discussion. I mean, I've talked to you a little bit about it, but to me, this was this is the best thing.
Let's preface. Let's just say, let's do a couple minutes non-spoiler here.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know you did. I as well have just rewatched all.
We'll rewatch
6 movies in the last week ahead of this. Up, down.
Well, we always say it. Follow us on Letterboxd, and then you can get our real-time thoughts. I think I am down on Mission Impossible as a franchise. So that's what I thought after I watched Ghost Protocol anyway, because I just have to be honest with myself, because I really think those first 3, to summarize my thoughts, just very scattered, good movies, above average movies, very odd as if you think of them as one franchise, just very honestly confusing. It's like, how could these all be part of the same thing? Ghost Protocol starts the switch to like, okay, this is what's going to be. And then watching Rogue Nation and Fallout, which is 5 and 6 for those who don't know. I mean, those movies, go watch them now if you haven't seen them. They are amazing. And 7 actually is in the same vein of that, but actually starts to pull from 1, earlier in the franchise. It's pulling stuff forward to make it feel more connected. And after Dead Reckoning, yeah, I guess there's 7 now. With that added and whatever 8 may do, which I suspect it'll pull stuff from the other 2 as well, the original 3 as well. I don't know. Like, I think so. Up. I'm going to say up. At the end of the day, because I just didn't know one. I got 3 more hours of Mission Impossible content, and to my opinion, it was all really goddamn good. So,
yeah, up on the franchise. Me as well. I enjoyed every single one of them a lot. Like, I had my minor complaints, but at the end of the day, I had a great time watching every single Mission Impossible movie. But it's true that Rogue Nation and Fallout are kind of like different tiers, sort of, and like these are like. When I talk action movies and I'm talking, like Casino Royale, I'm talking Mad Max Fury Road, and I'm talking Fallout. Now I'm talking Dead Reckoning, because these are like kind of next tier action movies that are going your cut above your Fast and Furious franchise or your Transformers movies.
Bond is a great example in certain ways where but instead of different Bonds, it's different directors, because the actors all carry over when they have characters. It's like technically the same universe, but the directors just make it feel so different, because there's the 90s Bond with Pierce Brosnan where it's like and then you have like Daniel Craig Bond, which is award winning, in those 5 movies,
sure,
some peak stuff. This, I don't know. You made the comment about Fast and Furious. There are certain franchises where I'm like, even though every single movie is worse, I think I might enjoy that franchise more than this one. And that's what I was feeling after 4, because my biggest complaint was I don't care about a lot of the world in Mission Impossible. I like Ethan Hunt. Tom Cruise is, and as this movie, I'm talking non-spoilers here, he's doing all the stunts. It's crazy. It is a spectacle to watch. But the character, a good movie that stands out has to have characters you care about. And the Mission Impossible franchise, the first 4, each one is characterized by literal. They feel like paper, like people, like they're throwaway. They always like throw in like here's a new team. They will never come back. They don't matter. Do you know their names? I don't know. They have like 3 lines that they just repeat, and then that's it. Whereas this one, you're bringing characters back from, it's carrying over storylines from 5 and 6. I care now. They're bringing back characters from 1. I'm like, okay, this has weight. This has heart. It's working for me. It's working for me.
Okay. Well, Luther has been in Mission Impossible since the first movie, so.
He is the one exception, but in some movies he is like so shallow, and he's not really a character until later. He has his most character stuff in like 6, honestly.
Listen, I think any Mission Impossible fan will agree that when McQuarrie took over, it sort of just hit a
peak.
I don't know. It feels different. It hit a peak, and I mean, let's just talk about the movie itself though, because like I think like right off the dome, it's probably like a 9-1, 9-2 for me. Like
9.495 for me. I
Like,
really enjoyed this.
This was just such a fantastic action film, and like right from the get go. I mean, with all the movies, like it's right into it, and I mean, I love the way this one was shot, like stylistically. Brought in some John Wick stuff going on there. Like I thought the lighting was fantastic in a lot of scenes. Like
that's a good question. Before we jump into as specific thoughts, how do we feel? This is another 3-hour-long action epic. John Wick 4 came out earlier this year.
I think it was 2.5.
I think I felt like 3. I thought it was 3. Either way,
let me get an official. I want an official red.
Point is, I think John Wick 4 is the other comparable film to really stand up against this. Which one did you prefer? That's a tough question for me.
I don't know. I mean, you're getting something different with the John Wick movies, right? Like
it's true, but this one, I bring it up because this one felt like it kind of leaned the most into Wick in terms of its design, some of the settings. It felt familiar in that way where I'm like, I didn't not as a negative, but I went, okay, they're.
I think they took some of the best parts of Wick, and I think I prefer this movie to John Wick 4. I loved them both. I know they're different. They're different. Like they're different. They're hard to compare. They're like two separate ends of the action spectrum, sort of spectrum. And
I think I might pick John Wick 4, but that
can
be.
They both have a similar thing where it's like their stars performing stunts, but it's very different level of like, Keanu Reeves is fighting people and that's great, but then he's not driving off of cliffs on a motorcycle. So
I think that's a different conversation. That could be a conversation for a podcast. But point is, they're both very long, and I went the whole time I was going, I don't want this to end. I just wanted to keep going. Like at no point did I feel a drag. I really wanted to see what happened next. And it's very rare that in a movie you don't feel any pacing problems. Like even and Ben and I disagree. Even in something like Indiana Jones, which I liked, you can still feel when something is being paced not as well as it could be, just for editing, not even because you don't like a scene, but you just feel like, okay, maybe this could have gone in a different place. This never once. Like, I mean, it was going.
The whole time. I'll dive into specifics. I disagree with you on one point. I think in Rome, in the multiple chases, I think when he gets in the one car, the one without the doors, and he drives to the next car, and it's like, let me find the safe car, and gets in the yellow one. I think you could have cut that middle car out because I think they kind of just did the same chase sequence twice.
Maybe, but I was into it. Yeah,
I was into it too. No,
I gotta see it again. Go, okay, maybe that could. Like I said,
I think you'll agree with me on this. I'm high. It's like the same chase like twice over, but one of them's like with a silly little car.
I like the silly little car though.
I like the handcuff bit.
Yeah,
I thought this was a great movie. I mean, the beginning really floored me. Like in the big IMAX screens, that whole sandstorm like shootout scene. I just thought.
There's an extended prologue. You don't get the intro music until maybe like 25, 30 minutes in, and it worked for me. I went, okay, we're in. There's some stuff I want to talk about that's spoilers. The plot of this movie I didn't really pick up on from the trailer. I was trying not to stay away from marketing after the first one, and I feel like the first trailer came out like a year ago, a long time ago. I mean, they started marketing this movie for I think a different release date, and it got pushed. I want to say, I think that could have happened. So. I know it got pushed. I know it got pushed at least one point. I know at one point it was supposed to be 2022.
This was a COVID production.
It was a COVID production, so I know it got delayed. But I didn't know a lot about the story going in. I'm glad that happened. There are some things to spoil. So overall, I think we just liked it. It has the most consistent action, I think, of the franchise. I'm not going to say the best. I think we both agree. We were talking a little bit before that Fallout has the best finale moment. But it's amazing. I mean, the train, it takes place on a train, and you feel like the train is real. You feel like the train is moving when it's doing crazy things. You feel like it's actually happening. I don't know. It is impressive how they still make these, I guess pun intended, these impossible feats, even though there has to be some visual effects that they do any of this. It's crazy.
Sure, but it's in a way where it's touching stuff up.
Yeah,
like removing a ramp, because obviously you've seen the behind the scenes. Tom Cruise drove off that ramp, but they remove it, so it's just like a cliff. Yeah, 5-6 times in a day.
Crazy.
I think we can move into spoilers now. I'm going to put up the tick. Spoilers, and the big one. We say goodbye to Ilsa Faust.
Ilsa Faust off to go be in Dune. That's what I think.
That's a
it,
theory.
it worked. It worked for me. So Ilsa's death, having just watched Fallout and Rogue Nation hit for me, it worked for the
It
story in
was
my
sad.
opinion. It was sad. Her final fight was awesome. She has a sword fight with the main villain of this film, Gabriel, who I thought was maybe not the best villain, but he gave a good performance, and I thought their fight was awesome. Was I disappointed to see her go? Yes. When she got knifed, I was like, I saw this coming. You know, when he gives them the choice, I'm like, okay, Ilsa's definitely dying. Like, it's not gonna be Grace. She's new. Like, Haley Atwell's not gonna go out, so it's gonna be
Yeah.
Ilsa. And yeah, I was bummed a little bit because Rebecca Ferguson, I think, really added so much to Rogue Nation, specifically Fallout 2. But I'm gonna miss her presence. But it hit, and I thought, I want to get your thoughts on this. It's the notion that some of this movie is kind of meta because it's dealing with an AI who's predicting all of our character actions.
Yeah, I know this script is probably written like a while ago. Like I know Christopher McQuarrie is sitting somewhere like, yes.
No, I meant meta in the sense that, like, it's addressing the fact that I think it's almost intentional that he is replacing one female co-lead with this other one, but it's also like kind of part of its plan, like, because it's emotionally manipulating him. It's really interesting.
Sure.
Like you think about it, you're like, oh, that sucks. But at the same time, within the plot of the film, some of this stuff that feels a little bit contrived sometimes, or you're like, damn, this is happening. It's meant to be, and it was interesting. It's interesting. I like that plot device. I'm a fan of that kind of stuff, determinism, and can we beat this system who's determining all of our actions?
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about the entity. I mean, it's definitely a new direction for the series. I mean, feels relevant in today's day and age. I think I thought it was a little silly when he was like, "I am the party," but it was funny.
Each movie's got a line like that.
No, it felt very like first
Mission
Mission
yeah.
Impossible.
When there's a scene in 3 when he looks right at the camera, and goes, "Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall." I'm like, that was this moment. That was the moment.
True. Yeah, it's like, oh, he is the party.
The visual was cool though. The visual of like
it was.
I like that whole party sequence was, I thought, really well done.
I thought that was where it felt the most John Wick to me. Like, I don't know, something about the like Italian club, like the lights.
It was like
walking in, like the soundtrack. I mean, they haven't really done anything like that for the Mission Impossible series. Like the soundtrack never switches up that much, except for Rogue Nation when you got the beautiful Pavarotti opera scene. But usually it's just your classic Mission Impossible soundtrack. So the sort of like club EDM music, very John Wick to me. But
no, it's 2. That's like that's what happens in 2 when he's sent to Rome to go kill
that as well
the High Table. So it felt like that, but it worked, and because they didn't do a whole we're gonna do a party action scene where he's shooting people in the crowd. They used it as a way to build tension in the scene. The music was purely, and the EDM was purely for like, this is just going to be a really tense scene of dialogue. And I'm like, I'm here for it. I'm like, okay, it built tension in it.
Right. And I think the gathering of characters in that scene, like we have Ilsa there, and we have the White Widow like returning, Vanessa Kirby. I think
she's the daughter of the villain from the first movie, which I always
like. And it's just you get this sort of great collection of the characters, and it's like the world's starting to feel bigger, and the McQuarrie verse, as I'll call it, seems to be coming together, and I thought it paid off really well. I thought that scene was so tense, and just, I don't know, it's good stuff.
Yeah, it was great stuff. That's where you were mentioning the Wick thing, and I was mentioning it because you brought it up, but Palm Clementive's character, Paris, she is the most like, this is feels like a character who walked out of John Wick, and in that particular scene, she's wearing, each scene she's in, she has
she's like pirate, like
clown makeup. Yeah, she has clown makeup, and it's like, okay, like
it's sort of like the stylized action villain, which is certainly a Wick trope. But I mean, I like her character a lot.
I hope she survived into sort of, at the end it's ambiguous, and she says that she has a pulse. So I hope she survives into the next one.
She's a pulse. Yeah, she's alive.
For sure. So for the people I saw it with, the big determiner of people liking it or not was if they liked Grace, if they liked Haley Atwell in the story. For me, she really worked. I thought, because the thing about the women of the Mission Impossible franchise, for the most part in these new ones, it's rarely a romance thing. Like even with Ilsa, where the subtext is explicitly romantic, like you don't actually ever see that. It's not there. So I hope they stick with that thread, because I like it much more as it's just
It's
an interesting.
Impossible too.
Well, I'm saying, yeah, in the McQuarrie verse, I like it much more how it's more about how Ethan's desire to save lives just ropes these people in and ends up killing them. Like, I think it's a trope, but I think it's a trope that works, and I like that more for his character than like he just keeps like falling in love with women over and over again who just keep dying. It's like, I don't know if I like that, but she worked for me. Her character Grace, she worked for me. I liked the thief. I liked their back and forth. The car scene was funny. Like, I thought they had good chemistry, but not in a way that was just like, it didn't have to be a generic romantic stereotype. And the scene when they're climbing up the train at the end, as it's gone vertical, was thrilling. And
yeah, I mean, that third act I just thought was fantastic. Everything on the train. Yeah, briefly about Haley Atwell. I think personally, I preferred like Rebecca Ferguson as the leading woman in the last two movies. Like I would prefer that
100%.
character, but I did like her. I thought she was good. I mean, the incompetence thing is a little like, I thought she was really bad when she was pretending to be the White Widow. I was like, okay, you can be better here. Like, just, but it's it's a nitpick. Like, she was fine. I liked her like in the action sequences. I liked her a lot in the airport scene. That was great.
I love that scene.
It was incredible. I mean, the tension and the way that was shot,
and the use of like deep fakes, live, and filters to mess with people is something that also feels very relevant, very present. True. And it didn't feel like it was out of the realm of possibility. In fact, stuff like that probably has happened, or it certainly has worked on people online. So it didn't feel, sometimes these movies, it feels far-fetched. Like, always like, oh, this is a weird piece of technology. This felt incredibly grounded for something when they wrote it a few years ago, probably didn't feel so grounded. But same with the AI stuff. But as it came into being, like, oh, this is just sort of real. Yeah. I love that stuff.
Well, as far as Grace goes, I realized as I was watching is that she is the Willy of the Mission Impossible franchise.
Oh, I don't know about
that. But not nearly as bad. But if you had to draw a comparison,
I think Thandaway Newton's character in 2 is the Willy of the Mission.
Okay, fair take. Similar characters, both like thieves. That
I like Haley Atwell so much more.
I do too. No, I do too. I agree.
Because it's part of the script is that she was hired inadvertently by the entity. Like, the entity like inputted her into this story to be this like emotional foil for Ethan, and her accepting the IMF mission. I know it's like a relatively new thing, and to briefly talk about one things that didn't work is it did feel somewhat jarring that they're introducing this new element that wasn't resolved because it's a part 1 of like this flashback of Ethan's origin. That felt like, okay, I hope they pay this off. I hope it lands, but it could not. And that's like the one, like, this could be a ticking time bomb of, if you pull this thread in the part 2 and it's like kind of weird. It's like his real first love was killed by, it's like, I don't know if I want that. Like, that's what it kind of seemed like. I'm like, but I hope it's more. It could be more.
Think if you're finally going to do a resolution, whether it be the death of Ethan Hunt in the 8th movie or the retirement, whatever it be, like, if you're going to end his character, I feel like you need to
have the origin.
You need to have an origin. So, well, I'll leave that judgment until 8. I mean, obviously, it's sort of like a placeholder as of now. Like, it was like the threads were introduced, but it's like, it was more just be like, oh, this villain is personal to Ethan, but there's not much more. Does it really go beyond that? But we'll have to see when 2 comes out.
That was just the one thing that in the theater I thought, okay, I'm liking this, but I'm concerned that this could be where the plot unravels. And I was referencing with Grace before is this whole like, you choose to be part of the IMF, which is, I don't think new in theme, but certainly new and explicit. Like, this whole choice thing that's new, and I liked it. But if they, I don't know, it could get kind of goofy. Because
it just makes me laugh thinking about like, what situation was Benji?
Benji, I had the same thought. Yeah,
he's like, he has to make this decision, be like dead or in jail. Like, he's such like a goofy character.
I think what they were referencing was what happened in 3, because his first one was 3, and he was sort of like going against orders, and he would have been.
He was still in the IMF. He was just like a tech guy who worked in the facility.
But they were like cracking down, and like technically he was like, I can go to jail. I was like, maybe that's what they're referencing, because I couldn't think of anything else. Like, there's no way this guy was like down on his luck. Like, I don't know. I didn't see that.
Yeah, I thought that was funny, but yeah, I thought it worked.
So airport sequence, great. That's like a great. This is the opening we talked about. Great. The bounty hunters in the sandstorm.
Sandstorm stuff, great.
Amazing. Just all the stuff with, I liked. So Kittredge, a character from the first one, who was sort of the main IMF guy in the first one, comes back. He added a great layer to me, tying the franchise together.
How many people do you think are like picking up on that? Like,
I don't know. I was, though.
So few. I know, but because you just watched it. Like,
I loved it. I was like, Eugene Kittredge. I'm the biggest fan.
He doesn't even look all that similar. Like,
no.
Obviously it's been a while.
But he was talking with the same mannerisms, and they were using the Dutch angles again from the first one, which I loved. And I really enjoyed his presence. And as I said, establishing some lore from the first one where it ends, and you have this ambiguity of what's going to become of the main, like, not main antagonist, but one of the antagonizing forces, Maxine, who's this weapons dealer, and her daughter was introduced in Fallout, and how he has to deal with his mother. And like it felt like more like a sequel to one. Like this, it was pulling so many threads from then. They even have a reference to Ving Rhames as the Net Ranger, which I thought was so funny. Like that's in one scene in one. Like they make one reference once. Ethan calls him it once, and I'm like, this is awesome. Like I love that they're. It was great. I don't know. I had such a good time with this movie, and I think I could just probably talk in circles about. It's just so enjoyable. Like there's nothing for me to really complain about. Go see it.
I agree there. No strong complaints. I mean, like if you're just looking for a summer blockbuster, then like
this is it.
This is it. I mean, and unfortunately, in a week's time, no one's gonna be talking about this movie.
Also true. Barbie and Oppenheimer will take over.
Unfortunate release date. I mean, I guess you didn't want to do June because June was
hacked, but then all the movies in June bombed. So
I hope this movie does well. I mean, me and Levi like to nerd out about box office stuff. Obviously, it's not going to impact your decision to go and see the movie, but I hope it does well because Tom Cruise saved the box office once. Can you do it again?
I don't know. The box office is in a weird place, but that's a discussion for another time, I think.
I think so. But
final thoughts on Dead Reckoning.
Final thoughts is that upon rewatch, this could very well be my favorite Mission Impossible movie. I think right now, I think I maybe would take Rogue One or Fallout. I think there are sequences in both those movies that
are better.
I think are better.
But as a film,
I can't stop thinking about spoilers. That third act, like climbing up the train is like, and it felt like a video game, or it felt like an Uncharted sequence where it's like it fall and you're in the next car and there's a piano and you're in the kitchen car.
It felt like a video game. Yeah, it was so
awesome and just
the way it was shot. It was the way it was shot too.
The way it's shot. I mean, the reason I love these movies so much, when you really get down to it, is just its dedication, practical effects, and I think it's just really incredible how dedicated Tom Cruise is and the whole crew, Christopher McQuarrie. I mean, even going back looking at Fallout, like the helicopter chase scene and the high altitude jump. I mean, I urge you to go and watch the behind the scenes stuff because you got a camera operator parachuting from 30,000 feet with an IMAX camera on his head, and it's just like it's nuts. And this movie is no different. Like in the scenes when he's parachuting, and it's so obvious that that's just Tom Cruise parachuting off a cliff. And no matter how much CGI you throw into a movie, like
you can't beat it. Yeah,
you can't beat it. So I think at the end of the day, like if you want to go and be wowed at the edge of your seat, like go and see this movie, even if you haven't seen the other ones. I think.
Well, I'd say watch the other ones, but then watch.
I would say go watch the other ones, but even if you haven't, go watch Mission Impossible.
Go watch Mission Impossible.
Go sign up for Scientology.
Yeah, leave your thoughts down below, guys. What your thoughts on the franchise are. I think we'll probably talk about this more in long form when we get Johnny on here because I have a lot to say just about the franchise in general. I could probably go for a solid hour.
Little Mission Impossible podcast.
Little Mission Impossible pod. But yeah, give us out of 10 what you thought of Dead Reckoning if you saw it. I know some of you. I know Dimes. If you're watching this, you're out there. You gave it a perfect score. You loved it. I loved it too. So just the general thoughts on MI. But thank you guys for watching. We will see you in the next one, and have a good day.
Bye,
everybody.